Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first topic of our 6 week challenge, which I'm super, super excited to run through with you in this video. And our first week's topic is going to be based all around planning and organization. Now, we chose this one to be the first topic in particular for a few reasons. And the main reason being is if you know how to become more organized and plan things in advance, the nutrition, the exercise, training, steps, the sleep as well, and your general day to day life routine will become so much easier once you know how to actually plan your life around them, right? So, I kind of wanted to focus this training around how to make your fat loss goal more achievable around your life. And this might seem some parts are maybe self explanatory for some people, but I love with planning and organization that it really does have a full circle and it's all interlinked with everything. So, that being said, we want to run through first where most people go wrong. And this is from what we've seen ourselves say when people come to us when they need help, and what I see from even when what I used to do in the past and what Barry used to do in the past. Where most people go wrong is a couple of things, right? So it's they don't spend time planning the week. They somewhat wing the food shop. There's no kind of organization in place. One thing I want to note about that one as well is you also might be the kind of person that when they do the food shop, when you go to do a food shopping list, you might not even do a food shopping list, or you're someone that say looks in the cupboard, sees what was once there that is no longer there and just replaces it. That also has a negative effect on how you approach your nutrition. Other areas where people go wrong is they don't plan the days that they'll work out like for the week in advance. They don't have any consideration around weekends. That leaves them with all the above with no routine, and then they give up. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't blame you. I don't blame you for giving up if you're someone that does all these things or does majority of them, because if you're doing a good chunk of these, the chances are is you're someone that doesn't really have a structure to your week. You're someone that doesn't really have a routine. And that absolutely makes any goal like 5 times harder, if I'm being completely honest, because it's like you're not even giving yourself a fighting chance. Now, in saying that, these are going to be certain elements that we'll run through specifically where we'll ask ourselves certain questions that I think it's going to be more of an interactive training with this one, but you'll get what I mean once we start to go through them. So the first thing that I want to go through is nutrition and meal planning. I wanted to start with that one because that's typically the first, it's the biggest problem that a lot of people have, like how they sort their nutrition that's in line with their fat loss goals, which means that they need to be in a calorie deficit, and how to make that seamless in their life. All right, so when you're watching this, I want you to actually take note of these questions, either write them down in the notes section of your phone, or what you can do is put some of these questions under this video and comment as the action and say what you are actually going to answer for these questions. So, with nutrition and meal planning, this is one of the biggest things that I see a lot of people go wrong with, as I said. And a lot of the time, there's fuck all organization put in place, right? So, we want to make this easier for you. If there's a plan in place, what it'll enable you to do is make less decisions throughout the week. And that's what we want. So think to yourself, what are you going to have for your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks? Now, that's a broad question. It's a big question when you think of it, especially if you're someone that struggles with meal ideas. That's why we have the app there to help you as well, of course, with meals that are in line with your calorie goals and your calorie targets. But actually think with the food shop, right? You need to think ahead before you even decide to do a food shopping list. Okay, what am I going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? This follows on then with your food shopping list. What day are you going to do the food shop? One thing that I see happen is people don't have a set day where they do the main food shop, and that hinders how they approach their nutrition for the following days. So for me, it's a Saturday. So every single Saturday, I do the food shop, and that's part of my routine now. So it's not something that feels foreign and feels off. And when you start implementing these things, if you're someone that isn't already doing them, it's going to feel a bit foreign. It's going to feel a bit strange. It's not going to feel like a habit because currently it's not a habit. But whereas for me, every Saturday, it's a habit and part of my routine. So this comes down to then once you have an idea of what you're going to have for your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, you then can write your food shopping list. Now, as I said, a lot of people do it in order of like looking at the cupboard, seeing what's in there, what was no longer there, and replacing that. But I actually really recommend doing your food shop in order of your meals. And this, you can still do this if you're a family of 5 or 6, or if it's just you and your partner in one household. But for you to make sure that you are giving yourself the best possible chance of success, this is going to be key. Because look, if you aren't going to do your food shop properly, it's not really going to go to plan, you know? So, what day are you going to do the food shop? And do the food shop in order of your meals. So, write breakfast, write the ingredients that you need for your breakfast. Often than not, depending on what you have, you won't need to always buy new, like a load of things for your breakfast. Lunch, what are you going to have for lunch? Dinner, what are you going to have for dinner? Spending 5 to 10 minutes on this per week saves you time throughout the week of making decisions. And essentially, spending this 5 to 10 minutes is going to take away nearly, I'm going to say, probably max 2 hours of choices and decisions that you will be trying to make throughout your week if you haven't done these things. Now, next part then is some nutrition and meal plan tips. I've taken these from what has worked well with me personally, but also what has worked really well with my one-to-one clients. So these are some nuggets of information that you can take for yourself. So if you're someone that gets overwhelmed by making food decisions on you don't know what to have and you're really indecisive and you're unsure, my best piece of advice for you is keep it super simple, right? Example, and this is what I do personally as well, have the same in and around breakfast, lunch every single day and just swap out your dinners, right? Or you could have a different lunch every day and have the exact same breakfast and dinner. It's down to personal preference, but it's taking a load of like decision making processes out of your mind, and it's reliable then. So you don't have to wake up in the morning and think, okay, what am I going to have for breakfast that's going to be decent on my calories and high in protein? It's going to be filling. If you just rinse and repeat the same breakfast, lunch, and then I personally like to have a different dinner every day of the week. That's just me. That's how I work it. It keeps my nutrition so much more manageable because I don't have to come up with a new idea for breakfast and lunch. And I just do rotations of dinners. So it could be spaghetti bolognese, chicken curry, a lasagna, shepherd's pie, like just simple ones on the go. Think of the protein source first as well is another big one when you're thinking of the ideas of meals. Especially this is for someone who struggles to get in their protein. Then find convenient options where you can. This is honestly a game changer. The likes of, you don't have to make life harder on yourself than it already is. Cut the time down that you're cooking. If you're especially if you're someone that doesn't like cooking, be different if you were a bit of a Gordon Ramsay and you liked cooking. But using the likes of microwavable rice, pre-chopped veg, frozen fruit, and also pre-made meals. So the likes of the Fit Foods for anyone that has like a Duns around them. I think they do them in other shops as well. There's clean cut meals, Pure Power. Little secret for you. Not a lot of people know this, but the brand Cully and Sully, the crowd that do the soups, they do a cottage pie, like a pre-prepared one, and it serves one person. The macros on it is insane. It's like 400 and something calories and 40 grams protein. It is unbelievable. So, so good. So relying on convenience when you can to make life easier on yourself. Include snacks intentionally is another one I put there, especially if you are someone that has a previous experience with restricting certain food groups when you're trying to lose weight. Intentionally include snacks. So I have a lot of female clients that have been in that situation, and we intentionally include a piece of chocolate every single day. So it could be a Frido bar, it could be a Kinder Maxi, they're also top tier. but including snacks intentionally are really, really helpful. And then the next one is planning your week. This is huge. So this kind of relates to the nutrition part as well, but you need to be organized to have a successful week. So on a Sunday, for example, if you have a check-in to do even, or every Sunday, even yourself, if you don't have a check-in, spend 5 to 10 minutes to yourself to plan your week ahead of time. And you can do this sitting on the toilet. If you're going to be someone that says that you don't have time to do that, do it while you're sitting on the toilet. That, like, if things are bad, do it when you're sitting on the toilet. What days you're going to train. So that still applies if you're training at the gym or you're training at home. All right. A lot of people that train at home, I find they think it's easier to get in the workouts because they're training at home. So they don't plan, okay, I'm going to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and they don't. And then they end up then consistently not getting in the amount of training sessions they need to get in. Then they feel demotivated and then they stop. So planning your week in advance and looking at, okay, planning, I'm going to train this day, this day, this day, doing it ahead of time is super helpful. Also, a big one that I think a lot of people don't do, and I don't really know why. Is it because we're adults? I'm not sure, but actually having a set time that you wake up at every morning and go to bed at. This is so, so important. If you're someone that your sleep is really affected, I suppose this one applies more for people that aren't doing night shifts, but I suppose it still applies if you're doing night shifts, but making sure that you go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. But this is huge, especially if you're someone that struggles with sleep and energy. And don't be scrolling on your phone right before you go to bed. That's just a little side note. What are the work hours? What are the hours that you're working roughly as well? And what day will you do the food shop? One thing I really recommend with doing this is actually using the likes of Google Calendar, because what it'll enable you to do is visually see your week. So that is the tips that we have on planning and organization. By the end of this, you should have a clear idea of what your routine can look like and structure, and have a structure to your week. You know what you're going to eat ahead of time that is in line with your goals, and you know when you're going to train and get your steps in. I hope you found this training helpful. Again, let us know the actions below that you are going to put in place, whether it's a photo or if it's a list or something. And I look forward to seeing you in the next topic.